wanted to have a conversation about Gaza and like talk about, all the things. Like we've all gone, right?
Yeah.
Like
and at
what
various times. So it was different when I was there
yeah,
versus when you were there.
but I think I want to start even before that. Like what made us want to go, and all of that. Like just going into kind of some personal stuff, personal stories and personal motivations for going. And then when we went, what we saw, how has it shaped our understanding of the world? How has it motivated us to, do something to make a difference, whatever it might be. But I think that's kind of the direction I want to go. Just kind of like have a conversation or a storytelling podcast on this, right? And I think naturally those deeper layers of conversation will come up and we can explore
Mhm.
those as they come.
So I have a personal story with my aunt and my uncle when they were evacuating in '67. They were fleeing from Palestine to Jordan by foot, and they got bombed. And my 8 year old uncle died, and my aunt was burnt head to toe.
Mm.
So fortunately, she was able to get evacuated, and she got taken she went to, I think, Switzerland and America for treatment, and then like months later was brought back to my grandmother in Jordan. So like I want to reciprocate. I want to give back, the same way somebody took care of my aunt when she was in need of treatment. I wanted to give back. So that
Mm.
was my
And,
motivation.
like, how did you think about the risk of it? Because like I mean that was terrifying for me.
I was naive, honestly, completely naive because, I thought that they would follow the rules of war. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think like the World Central Kitchen, situation would happen. And I thought we were untouchable since we're American delegates. And you know what I mean? Coming in with a UN convoy, I was like, oh, we'll be safe. We're in a safe house.
Good. Yeah,
Like we're
yeah,
untouchable, right? We're
yeah.
in a hospital. Granted, I know what happened, with every other hospital before, Al Ahli, Shifa, and Aqsa, and Nasser, and whatever. But I was like, well, they didn't have any American delegates in there. I don't know. So it was just me being naive, honestly.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And Zaid, what about you? What was your motivation for going? How did that come about?
Oh man, so I'll be honest with you, man. Like, my best friends kind of know about this about me. I've been repping Palestine for ages, right? Like before it was cool. Like nowadays it's cool, right?
Mhm.
My father, he taught me about the Nakba, Allah yarhamu. He taught me about the Nakba. Remember when I was in high school, right?
Mhm.
And this was not something that was ever covered in high school history or nothing like that, but he taught me about it. And I had my own curiosity. I learned some more, and next thing you know, I mean, like I was the kid in college and whatever. I was wearing the kafia. And if you go through my old school pictures, you'll see me with like Pally print everything. You know what I mean? Like West Bank Apparel. There's this website called West Bank Apparel. Like I'm not trying to plug them or anything because I'm not a part of it. But like
They
I
better
bought
sponsor this.
they could sponsor this, you know what I mean? But no, but all kidding aside, like I have personally purchased so much gear from West Bank Apparel
So
before they blew up. So yeah, so when all this actually took off, man, like it was unavoidable. Like before, everyone could make excuses. Oh, I didn't know about it, whatever, right? Now, Lana knew about it because she has family there. So she would hear about it. She may even get pictures about it. I don't know. They may have discussions around the dinner table. I don't know. I never had that, right? But I always repped Palestine. I always repped like, people to be free from, an apartheid, bro. Like no one deserves to live under that, under the boot of an occupation. Anyway, fast forward, I asked all my Palestinian friends, like that I had between Florida and Jersey. Like again, I was a little bit naive. I thought, oh man, these guys might have a connection. They might be able to sneak me in, like through a tunnel or something. Little, little did I know they're useless. They had no idea. So then I got online. I found on Google. I did a Google search. I found like 5 organizations that were going. I started applying, and then I would wait, wouldn't hear back. I'd go back to the websites. I would email everybody from like the secretary to the CEO. Then I would wait a little while again. I would go back because I didn't hear from them. Then I would pick up the phone and call every number I could find. Eventually, Pama picked up, said, "Listen, bro, Zahid, we all have your emails, we all have your voicemails. Stop calling. We're gonna get you to go." And then that's when I stopped calling. And then finally, like I think a week or so later, they said, "Hey, man, fill out the application and whatever, and then you get to go." And that's kind of how it all happened.
So your deep motivation was like you've always kind of heard about this issue, and now here was your chance to like do something about it.
Yes and no. I think the fact that it was this unavoidable truth in the palms of our hands and in our faces, and I couldn't look away anymore. And it was consuming me. Like I clearly remember I'm a travel nurse, right? So I'm actually in Jersey right now, and my wife and my kids are in Florida. And I clearly remember I was in Jersey at the time too, when all this stuff was happening, and I finally told my wife, I said, "Listen, I need to go. Like I can't not go." And I heard it in her voice. She had this conviction. She was like, "Yeah, no, definitely, dude, go,"
Wow.
kind of thing,
Mhm.
you know. And that was like the first time I actually, because before we talked about it, and before it was like a hard no from her. But then, yeah, when she said, "Yeah, no, go for it," I was like, "Ah, okay, this is now I know it's a sign.
Yeah.
Now
Mhm.
I know it's a sign that I have to go." You
Yeah.
know, things don't just happen to go in
Oh,
my favor miraculously by chance. No, God's always planning something, bro.
yeah.
You know, God's always planning, and it's actually kind of funny. Before I knew I was going to go, I was in Jersey. I was struggling, not struggling. I was trying to extend my contract, right? Because my contract was coming to an end, and it never happens that I never get an extension to my contract, unless, of course, I make the executive choice to say, I'm gonna go somewhere else. And
Mhm.
I couldn't get an extension. It was surprising, but long and behold, man, Allah was just preparing me. He goes, "Bro, you don't need a contract, G. You're not working. You know what I mean? You ain't working. You
Doing
got to go
different work.
somewhere else." You know.
Oh man,
So subhanallah, man.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah, man, it's beautiful how that works out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm doing something similar too.
How
Uh,
was your experience? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I went because I'll be honest, I was very ignorant about this issue, right? I have a very different perspective from the two of you. I and I was married to a Palestinian, right? My ex-wife is half Palestinian and half white. And I remember like in our get-togethers, like with family and stuff over the years, over the decade that I was married, like the conversation would come up at get-togethers, like, oh, what's going on in Palestine and like the Nakba and like these words would drop and I would hear it, but I really wouldn't even think twice about it because I mean, there's so much going on and I'm just kind of, in my own life, right? But then October 7th happened and everything just blew up and it was like you said, it was like in your face. And I think the thing that was most striking to me was I kept hearing about like these are the people of Jannah and these are like, the most resilient people ever. And I'm just like, man, like I've gone through some challenges in my life that made me question my faith, right? And I actually pushed away from it. I questioned everything about what it means to be a Muslim and the principles of Islam and everything because of the things that I went through. But I can't imagine going through something like this. Your family members are dying, your house is getting bombed, you're in a prison, and your faith doesn't get weaker, it gets stronger. That's not resilience. That's like anti-fragility, right?
Mm.
That's a different concept altogether. And I'm like, man, who are these people? And what makes them so special that they're so convinced in their faith? That's what I wanted to go learn about. I wanted to go like just meet these people and see what makes them so special in order to become stronger in my faith. Because this was around the time it was like a year or two post divorce, and I'm still struggling in my own faith and trying to understand things. So that was, I think the biggest reason. And then of course you need an excuse to go, right? And I'm like, well, I'm an ophthalmologist. I can also go and actually do something and not just like be a burden on them. So yeah, I applied. I actually was at a conference for ophthalmology. I saw this guy, his name is Yasser Khan. He was like presenting all of these. He had gone. Yasser Khan, he's an oculoplastics guy in Canada. So he was doing all this like facial plastics trauma stuff. He was showing pictures.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
wears a beanie sometimes.
Yes,
He's got
where's the beanie?
glasses.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Where I
the
got
beer.
that from? I was
The
like, ah,
beard, the
yeah,
beard,
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
I know him. Yeah, he's
yes.
great.
bro. He was on my trip for a week.
Oh, really? He was.
Yes,
Oh,
Ah,
yes,
small world, man. Small
bro.
world. I mean, yeah, the
Subhanallah.
people who went to Gaza, I mean, it's a small world, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I saw him presenting, and the pictures he was showing. I mean, it just completely blew my mind. I just felt anger. I was like, man, like how, this is like ridiculous. So I felt I could do something about it. But honestly, guys, like, I don't know, man. I think I got way more out of it than I put into it. Like, I think it helped me. I felt really guilty coming back. Like, I came back, I think, with a different perspective and this, like, just like rejuvenated, like, spirit, of wanting to do something. Yeah, it was profound. So anyway,
How did your family take it though? How are they on board with that?
so that was crazy. So I was in India right before I went to Gaza. And it just worked out that I would just go directly from India. So I remember when I first told my dad, he didn't have any words. He was just like, oh boy, here we go again with this crazy, crazy ass, coming up with all these ideas. Now you want to go to Gaza? Like that. Like, please, just support me in this thing. And the hardest thing was going to be to convince my mom. She's like extra attached to me, as I guess any mother would be. And but man, subhanAllah, I was like very surprised by like how relatively well they took it, relatively well. I told my dad, like, look, like, 23 other missions have gone. I'm going to be mission number 24. No American citizen has ever died, much less, even get injured or whatever. Like, it'll be fine. The IDF know where we are. We can trust them. I was saying like anything I needed to say. And then I was like, wait, hold on. We can trust them. Hold on now,
About all
And
that.
Yeah, trust
and
them to
like
take you out.
yeah, yeah. And a couple of days before I was about to take off, of course, my dad has this giant get together in India with all of our extended family, and they're all trying to like tag, like basically pounce on me, blitz me into convincing me to not go. 2 days before, like
Yeah.
my uncles and aunts and like cousins I've never seen and like all these people, I'm like, it's not gonna happen at this point. Just support me. So anyway, and then the hardest thing was like to come up with my will. I came up with a will and a
Mhm.
power of attorney and
Yeah.
like
Mm.
all and an Excel spreadsheet like all my passwords.
Yeah.
Night before I'm leaving, I'm telling my dad like, dad, like if something happens to me, like here's the number that you call. Here's the first person you call. They're gonna know everything. Like in a weird way, like I've never thought about death so concretely before. Did you guys have that experience?
Same exact. Yeah. I created a will and I gave my brother and my son all my passwords to everything. And yeah, it was a mind job. Like, damn, I'm actually preparing myself to die to go help like save
Yeah,
others.
yeah,
Like I was
yeah,
like, this is my very first medical mission trip. So I was like, is this how it always is? Like, is this normal? Like, is
yeah.
this what you do? I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure my colleagues who went to Honduras last year didn't have to do all this, but I don't know.
I went to Mexico 2 years ago. I was like, I don't think I thought about dying this much. Like,
Right? Like we thought about maybe getting diarrhea probably when we traveled abroad, but
Yeah.
like,
Food
yeah,
poisoning.
yeah, it was a mind job. It was definitely a
it
mind
really
job.
was. It really was. I mean, we joke about it now, but man, what about you, Zai? Do you have that experience?
Honestly, so I didn't create a will. And in
What?
hindsight, I probably should have.
Yeah.
But then again, bro, I got like $20 on my account. You know what I mean? There's not much to write up.
Come
Your
on, come
house.
on. You're a traveling nurse, man. They pay y'all well.
He got 3 kids.
I got
And
3 kids, bro. But anyway, so
I got no kids. So.
like to be honest with you, like I personally did not create a will or anything like that. But what I did do is I kind of sat down with my wife and I said, look, man, this is all of the money, right? And she's on every account. And we have like I have a couple investments accounts and this and that. That's it, just whatever it is, what it is. You just got to figure it out.
Yeah,
Um, but to be honest, it didn't hit me until so like the day before, the night before, the evening before I'm supposed to leave, my friends came over, everybody, you know what I mean? And it was funny. One of my good friends, he's actually a critical care attending. He says to me, he goes, and he said it jokingly, obviously, but I still remember it because I remember I was like, holy shit, he's right. He said, he's like, bro, this is like it's like all of us are attending your janaza.
Yikes.
You know what I'm saying? Like when he said that to me, like I
Oh,
laughed about it
Yeah.
initially, but then
Yeah.
it hit me.
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
wow, it's actually true because everyone came to the house and they were saying their goodbyes.
Yeah. That's how I felt.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
Absolutely.
my experience was a little bit different. And you know what, Shaz, like I get moms, but like my mother, bro, when I told her I was going, I promise you it was totally opposite what I expected. I expected her to give me a lot of heat, but nah, bro, she supported me 110%.
Wow.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I mean,
Big.
110%.
Yeah.
And but one thing I had to do was when I was in Gaza and when we would have Wi-Fi and I would call like FaceTime, I would call home or whatever. I remember one time I was on FaceTime with my wife and as I'm talking to her, there's sounds of explosions and gunshots and freaking drones in the background. And I could literally see her face just turn pale.
Oh,
And I said, you know what? I'm not doing this shit no more. I'm not doing this
no.
crap anymore. I'm just gonna have to text. So then that's kind of like what I had to do with my mom. I had to just like play it off and be like, oh my, I can't really get on FaceTime. I could just talk to you. Oh, you know what? The connection is not good, ma. I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. I just had to like kind of relay messages to her from my siblings and all that stuff because I didn't want her to hear it. I didn't want her to see it, you know. But like I remember clear as day, my wife was talking to me and I was sitting on the balcony. I don't know if you guys remember at EGH, I was sitting on the balcony and literally there was an explosion in the background. And I didn't get startled, but my wife's face just dropped. And I was like, well, that's the last time we're having this conversation on FaceTime. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never had those conversations with like on video or anything with my family, but I remember those explosions. In the night of the we were there during the ceasefire, and the night of the ceasefire was the worst night of explosions ever, right? And that's typically how it goes. They just want to like basically like get rid of all their bombs and just create as much destruction as possible. I remember being legit scared for my life. I remember that like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and we all did, all of my roommates, we all woke up and we were just like reciting surahs, which is one thing I had to like. My general response to something horrible is like fuck, like, and then
Sure. Yeah.
fuck. But then somebody was like, "Do you really want that to be the last
Yeah.
word out of your mouth if something
Yeah.
happens?" Like, no, 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 no,
Astaghfirullah.
Yeah,
But so yeah, in my book, there's a part where I'm like, fuck. And that's what I screamed in front of the family members in EGH. You know how it was all, well, I don't know if it was like that when, oh, were you at EGH? No.
I
Shaz,
was.
you were
no,
there.
no. I was at Public Aid and Al Ahli, both.
Uh, oh,
Okay.
okay. So at EGH, when I was there, it was like the safe haven for everybody. So there were literally thousands of people like living in EGH. So when one of the bombs dropped really close to the hospital, I was like, fuck, man. I just like spit
Yeah,
it out in front of the whole like
yeah.
damn neighborhood. So I was like, oh my God, did I just really do that? I was like, I mean, astaghfirullah.
Right.
Yeah.
So EGH is in the south, right?
Rafa.
Yes, Rafah.
It's
Yeah.
in Rafah. Okay, yeah, we were in the north.
Southernmost part.
Um,
It's like, I want to say it's probably what, the third biggest hospital in all of Gaza?
Yeah, I
Third,
think so.
fourth?
Yeah.
hmm.
Yeah.
We were in the south. We were there for like a day or two, 2 days, and we were at Nasser,
Mm.
How
and
was
then
that?
and then we went to the north. Nasser was, man, oh my God! Like when we first got there. I was like, man, like this, this like they really did a number on this hospital, but I
Yeah.
hadn't seen nothing yet. I mean,
Yeah.
Did
once
you
we
see
got
the
to the
graveyard
north,
there?
yes, yes, yeah. I mean, and when we got to the north, same thing. In the north, it was like way worse. The resources were way limited, and the same thing. Like in Al Ahly, in the courtyard, there's a graveyard. Um,
Mm,
and the ER doctors and nurses and all those people working there literally have family members buried right there, like a few feet away in the courtyard, you know?
yeah.
I just can't imagine, man. I've never lost, and I've never experienced loss like that. I mean, my grandfather, I lost my grandfather during COVID. That was like the closest person, to me that I've ever lost. I cannot imagine losing like a mother or a brother or sister or something, and like they're buried right there, and I'm continuing to fight the good fight. Cannot imagine, you
Yeah.
know?
That's the story
Um,
of all their lives there, man. Did you meet any staff members who were incarcerated or
No,
abducted, I should say?
no, actually.
No, did you, Zahid?
no. I had nurses and doctors who had relatives that were incarcerated or whatever,
Abducted,
held
yeah.
hostage. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So there was this nurse anesthetist. Sorry, hold on. He was so excited, and he was like talking to this other doctor in the lounge, and I was like kind of eavesdropping, like what's he talking about? You know what I mean? And he was telling him his brother had just gotten released, who was a nurse at AGH as well. He was like, my brother just got released, and he was so excited about it, and they had abducted him for 46 days. They
Mm,
had beaten the shit out of him, broke his ribs, his nose, and everything, tied his hands behind his back,
mm.
blindfolded him, made him eat like a dog, like humiliated him and everything. And then
Were
they
there
let
any charges?
no, that's why they let him go 46 days later. They had
Yeah,
no
it was
charges
just
on
complete
him.
bullshit. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
it's just a fear tactic.
Scare tactic, yeah. I wonder, like, this whole military detention thing, right? Like, is there a criteria? Because I have yet to see a freaking criteria. I think it's just all bullshit. I think they just like completely randomly select individuals to pick up, whether it's in the Strip or whether it's in the West Bank. You know what I mean? Like you can't literally tell me at 3 o'clock in the morning they go into a neighborhood in Tulcaran, right, and pick up 300 kids because they're all suspected
No,
terrorists.
it is, yeah, they don't have like any kind of rules to it. So there's a book, shoot, what was it called? I have it upstairs. I'm forgetting, but it's old, and it's a book of like quite a few IOF soldiers
Mm,
who it's a tell-all book, and
mm.
they talk about how that's what they're instructed to do, to go and like invade a family's home, and in the middle of the night, always has to be done in the middle of the night, disrupt their sleep, and then you take over their home just so that you can surveil people around the neighborhood, and you have permission to do whatever you want with the family members. You can hit them if you want. You can rob them. You can do whatever. You can just trap them all in a room without food for like 3 days. Just there's no, like they said, there's no like rhyme or reason. Like you could just pick a random house and do it to whoever. It's just terrorizing. I
Yeah.
mean, it's literally what they were given orders to do, to terrorize.
I mean, it's psychological torture, right? By definition, it's psychological torture, and I think I see in the global map, right? In the global map, they know that we cannot legally defeat the Palestinians, right? So that's why I think they do these psychological tortures to break them down and make it so unbearable, so unlivable that they
Want out.
make the choice to leave. And the
Yeah,
moment they leave, especially in the West Bank, the moment they leave,
they
they bring
settle.
somebody from New York, from Brooklyn, from Europe, and say, "Hey, this guy just bought this property," and make up some bullshit, sale paperwork. And next thing you know, it's now another, settler who's in this neighborhood full of Palestinians.
Mm.
You know,
I wanted to like maybe we could do this in one of the next conversations, but I wanted to really like dig deep into the history of this, right? Like with, back in the 30s and 40s, like the Ottoman Empire
Mm,
time period and the collapse and the subsequent vacuum that was created, right? How the state of Israel was created, all of that. Because I think that's really relevant. And I don't think a lot of people understand the really complex geopolitics of this situation. You know, this didn't just happen on October 7th. I think,
No.
we all know that. But if I'm being honest, like I personally also don't really understand the history of it that much. I've read up on it a little bit, but I need to like I really need to dig deep and understand how we got to where we are today, you know?
Honestly, neither do I. I know
Yeah.
the basic. I know Herzl and his stupid Balfour Declaration that
Yeah.
Mm,
started off with "Dear Lord Rothschild,"
yes.
pretty much the British mandate that like handed
Yeah.
over the country to them.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that's kind of when it started. The Ottoman Empire and stuff, that even though there's a historical parallel, I don't believe that has anything to do with the actual current state. Because once the Ottomans left and the land was kind of by itself, that's when the British came in. I mean, bro, they did that to Palestine, they did that to India and Pakistan all around the same damn time, right?
Yeah.
Um, then they walked out of India in 47, then they walked out or they got kicked out of India in 47. They got kicked out of Gaza in 48, and that's when all this stuff happened. You know what I mean?
And the reason I wanted to like explore the Ottoman Empire stuff is because like there was a period of time, if I recall, that Jews and Christians and Muslims all lived in that region peacefully.
Yeah,
Yes.
There was a time
there wasn't
so
a big
Yes.
yeah, but
yeah.
there wasn't a big population of Jewish people there. There were Jews there, and they lived harmoniously. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
even if there wasn't a big population, like the principles were there, right? The principles of harmoniously coexisting were there. So
Yes.
how did we get away from that to what we have today, which is like we can't stand each other,
The
right?
goddamn
I wanna
British.
I wanna understand that, so perhaps maybe we can kind of walk towards that solution. Because I don't think, I mean, living and coexisting harmoniously is the only solution. The solution is not to like kick one group of people out. Like
No.
that's not it's not gonna work. We can
Ask any
try,
Palestinian.
but it's not gonna
Like
work.
they'll do like give us a two-party solution. I mean, a two-state solution. Just anything. Just give us peace, right?
Yeah.
Like we'll split it down the middle. We'll do whatever. Just give us peace. Leave us alone.
Honestly, I don't even know if like a two-state solution is the actual solution. I'll be honest with you. I think it needs to
I
just
know
be
it's hard to live next door to the people that eradicated your like lifeline, right? Your family line and everything. But
well,
they will take it. Like they're very patient people, as you can see, and they're very I would say forgiving. I mean, because sadly this is life as they know it, and so they tolerate it.
Well,
I really feel like they
yeah,
would
I mean,
tolerate
to
it.
some degree, but Zahid, what do you think then is a potential solution?
my solution that I ideally would want is probably the harder of the two, right? One is what Lana is proposing, a two-state solution where everyone lives harmoniously, right? The other that I envision, honestly, is a true righteous democracy, right? The closest to what America should be in terms of ideals and morals and ethics, right? Not what it is, because right now, I mean, the U.S. government is absolutely corrupt, right? I mean, we can
Yeah,
sit here and say that no one really follows the Constitution, no one really follows anything. You got this president who's just willy-nilly throwing shit out there, like we're gonna do this, we're
President
gonna do
Musk.
that.
Hmm.
President Musk.
Hmm.
Right? So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the ideologies of our founding fathers. Now, I don't want to get into the politics of the founding fathers because I also know that they were of a colonial mentality. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the fact that they had this vision where they wanted people to live harmoniously, I would say even after or especially after Lincoln, right? When they got rid of segregation and all that stuff. So after the civil rights movement, what the US should have looked like. That's what I want to see happen in Palestine. So you have one governing authority, you have Muslims, Christians, and Jews all living on the same street. You have all people in government offices, democratically elected. Everyone can ring a church bell, go to the Wailing Wall, pray Jummah on
Yeah, in
Fridays.
Jerusalem. That's how it is in Jerusalem.
Well, I know, but you have that in Jerusalem, but it needs to be around the country,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it needs to be under one charter, one constitution, and and that's the way it should be. That's the way I think it can be. And it would closely be to what you, Shazad, are referring to during, the
Yeah, yeah,
possible Ottoman Empire or whenever, when everyone lived harmoniously,
yeah.
democratically.
And I think you're right. That's I think the harder of the two solutions, right? But I think in order to accomplish something like that, to have like one governing body, but you have different, religions and different
Sorry.
faiths coexisting together, like
Mhm.
by definition, that's a separation of church and state, right? We have
Yes.
to draw a line between like government and religion. And what makes this conflict so hard is that politics and religion are like intertwined, right? There's this like, well, is it Israel or is it Jews? Oh, wait, you spoke out against Israel, so you hate all Jews? No, 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 that's not the case. There's a difference here, right? And Palestinians and Muslims. And so it's like it's such a mess. It's all like being referred to as one thing.
However, if
Which,
you, yeah, but
yeah,
if you compare Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, the Old Testament, very similar.
yeah, it is.
So
It
it's
is
not
very
that
true.
far off from each
And
other. Like it
but that's
wouldn't.
what I'm saying. Like, I think we have to basically, get down to like the what is it? Like, what's that math term? Like the greatest common denominator, right? What is the core principles that Jews and Muslims and Christians, everybody, all these monotheistic faiths can agree upon?
Right.
And then build a government based on those core principles. Because when you get deep into the different
The
ways of
nitty-gritty.
practicing each faith, that's when conflicts are created, right?
Right.
So it's very challenging because you got to separate the religion from the politics and get down to like the bare bones and the most common principles that everybody can agree upon, which is much easier said than done. I mean, that's a hard thing to accomplish, you
But
know?
why is that? Why is that? Why is it so hard to
Seriously, why
say
is it? It shouldn't be that hard.
it shouldn't be, right? Logically, you want to live and you want to have certain freedoms and you want to have certain liberties. Okay, well, let your fucking neighbor have the same freedoms and liberties. Why is that so hard? If I want to be off on Friday because it's Jummah, let Joe, let Rabbi whatever have off on Saturday.
Yeah.
Have brother Michael off on Sunday, and let the rest of the world work. Like I work on Christmas and whatever, right? On
Yeah.
Easter.
Right.
Somebody else works on Eid for me.
Right.
Absolutely.
It would be amazing actually, like if it could be a true democracy like that, but Iblis makes that not happen.
She's referring to Satan, everyone.
No,
Homeboy Iblis. No.
but
Please,
I
good
don't know if
old
you can
devil.
actually, yeah, right. I don't know if you can just use Iblis as a blanket statement and say it's Iblis's fault. Nah, man. I mean, I really think that as humanity, as humans, we actually don't see everything or everyone as equal.
We don't, but like, how did we get here? Like, what happened? How did we get here to this like segregated place that we're at? I mean, I don't know. I'm naive. Maybe I grew up in a very diverse area. And so I'm not used to segregation and stuff, but I'm seeing it more now with, this administration. I feel like it's going to come back because I felt very divisive when he was in office last term. So, like, how do we get here? Like,
I mean, I think we can probably wrap this up here and resume this conversation in the next one because I think we're gonna really dig deep here. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think it comes down to like human nuffs, right? Human tendencies of greed and power, and this desire, this deep desire to belong. And when one group of people feels like they don't belong and they're isolated, they want to revolt. And I think that happens because of this like desire to chase money and power. That's just my
you
theory.
don't think it goes above that? Like, I like
Mm-mm.
Illuminati.
No,
Like
no, no,
what?
no, no.
Like what?
I said
Illuminati.
Illuminati.
Oh,
No, no, no,
I
no,
don't
no.
know much about Illuminati, honestly.
I do believe
I've
that
heard
there is
that
an
word.
elitist group that is controlling this.
Oh my God,
Oh
Lana,
boy.
listen, we're not doing this
We're going
conspiracy
there.
bullshit
We're
right
We're
now,
doing
going
but
it.
there.
Lana, listen,
I'm
come
not
on.
saying it is the Illuminati, but there is
We
an
can
elitist group that
we
is
can do
controlling
we
this.
can do a
I
future episode between the connection between Gaza and Illuminati. Okay.
Oh no. Oh my God. I might be sick on that recording day. Because Lana will have theories, bro.
I'm
You
gonna
don't
wear my
understand.
tinfoil
She's
hat.
a conspiracy theorist.
That's so funny. It's
No.
gonna be very, very interesting.
Just a
Yeah.
little.
But
I just want to say, I just think the reason why we are here is because those morals and values are taught at home. And I think that's the root of the problem, right? Hatred is taught at home. Love is taught at home. And respect and tolerance, those are all values that you are fed as a child, and we see this everywhere, whether it was in segregation of colors, segregation of religions, or whatever have you. And we see this all around the globe. We saw this in India and Pakistan, where you would have Hindus and Muslims and Sikhs and Christians all eating together at one table, right? But then that hatred is taught to the children, and as they grow up or whatever, the communities are divided. That's where it all starts.
Yeah. And when you create 40,000 orphans who have nothing to live
Yeah.
for but revenge,
No, 100%. 100%.
I typed this into ChatGPT just to kind of get an idea of what it says. And it says the Gaza conflict at its core is deeply rooted in human nature, desires for power, security, survival, and economic control. While it's often framed in religious or ideological terms, the underlying drivers include one, scarcity and competition for land. Historically, land scarcity has fueled conflicts. And that's so true, right? Like they're not making more land, and the Zionist movement sought a homeland, which, honestly, like,
there's trillions of dollars worth of fuel beneath Gaza that was discovered years ago.
yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is like I don't think it's a bad thing. This might be a controversial statement. I don't think it's a bad thing that the Zionist movement was searching for a homeland, right? They wanted to settle somewhere. Hear me out.
Yeah, bro, listen, I'm feeling you. I'm feeling
listen. Let me
I'm
finish.
right there with you. I'm like,
On the
you gotta watch what the
heels
hell he's about to say.
on the heels of the Holocaust, right?
Okay.
Um, you know, I'm trying to put myself in everybody's shoes, which is a hard thing to do, okay? I don't think this conflict is going to be resolved with like blame and pointing fingers and things like that, right? So let's for a second try to understand the other person's perspective. They were looking for a homeland to exist in. Okay. Not a I mean, everybody wants that as a human being. You want to belong, you want a piece of land to exist in. The wrong thing to do, though, is to take it over by force from people that are already living there,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the wrong thing to do. So I think the desire was appropriate. The way to go about it was not appropriate. Would you agree?
Lana, go ahead. I'm gonna let you have this
But
one.
why did you, I mean, like, why couldn't they? So you said they were desiring to, I mean, they were looking for a land to settle on, right?
Well,
They
like,
came from Europe, right? Like Poland
yes,
and Germany.
yes,
So,
yeah.
like, what was wrong with that land? Or, like, what, like, I don't understand. That
Yeah,
rationale doesn't make
that's a
sense.
good point. I think like on the heels of the Holocaust and all this stuff, I think like the Jews, and we have to draw a distinction between Jews and Zionists, right? But that population, that demographic was scattered everywhere. And it's not such a stretch to imagine that if my entire like, lineage is scattered everywhere, I would want a way to kind of consolidate that and bring them to a piece of land where we can exist. Forget coexist, where we can exist. I
Okay.
think that part I can get on terms with.
Yeah.
But to come, and steal it essentially from people who were already living there, right? In an oppressive manner, that's not correct. I think that's where I draw the line, you know? But I just want to like I don't know, I want to get y'all's perspective on, this started because of a human desire to want to belong and wanting a piece of land and security. Even to this day, Israel's biggest thing is security. And Palestine's biggest thing is freedom, right? This is a clash between security and freedom. So I don't know, just my 2 cents on that.
No, that's see, I don't know the history beyond. Do you know, like during Hitler's time, like why they persecuted the Jews? Like why? Like what happened? Like I
Hitler
don't
was
know.
just, I mean, Hitler was, again, it's like it's the same stuff that we're dealing with now to some extent, right? A maniac gets into power and like it is like, no, like you're not if you're not one of us, you're not it. We don't want you, you know? And so he was just basically he killed 6 million Jews during the Holocaust, which is
Right,
wrong, you
right,
know?
100%. And I can see now, like definitely, I can see what you're saying. Like they wanted to find a land that they felt secure in and safe in. But yeah, it's just the way you go about it is
Even just I don't know, conceding is the right word, but even just like understanding their perspective to some degree can go a long way to try to build a bridge. Because right now, what I'm seeing is like one side is calling the other side the devil, and we're not going to get anywhere like that, right? Like that rhetoric is not going to lead to a solution. So anyway, go ahead, Zad. What were you saying?
So I just want to clarify something you said earlier, right?
Yes.
Your first statement where me and Lana were looking at you like, bro, what the hell? Where's he going? You said that you can somewhat understand the Zionist movement.
right. That's why we were like, what?
We were both like, I don't think he knows what he said because the Zionist movement, right, is a political religious movement that supports the establishment of a Jewish homeland, specifically in Israel. That's what Zionism by definition is, right? And I can't wholeheartedly swallow that.
In
But
Israel, or you mean in
yes,
Palestine?
no, no, well,
Yeah,
okay,
occupied Palestine.
in occupied Palestine, right? That's what Zionism is because what they do is that they believe that Jews are a nation, a religious nation with rights of self-determination within the confines of occupied Palestine because they believe they have historical connection to that land.
And they're
That is by
liberals in
definition what Zionism is, right?
Yes. Yeah. Let me just clarify that for 1 second. Take away the term Zionism, right? Whatever. A
Okay.
group of people who, like, stripping away the politics and all of that, a group of people who decided to form to a response to Jewish persecution, right?
Okay.
And to a response to persecution. Forget Jewish, right? If a group of people is persecuted, they're going to respond,
All right.
right? It's human nature because they want safety, they want to belong, and humans fundamentally want a right to self-determine.
Okay.
I think that at its core is why any movement like that forms.
You just described current state Palestine.
Correct.
Right.
Exactly. And that's my whole point. It's like,
Right.
these traumas like repeat, right? Like,
Right.
over and over again. So what happened to the Jewish population with the Holocaust is now being repeated by them to another group of people.
Correct.
And if you go back far enough in history, I feel like this cycle repeats over
Okay.
and over and over again. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is like I can understand the human desire behind this. It's human
Yeah.
nature. I think we can all agree to
No,
that.
no.
That's all I was
I,
trying to say, I
I
guess.
think I think we're all on the same page that the Holocaust was wrong,
Yeah.
right? Undeniably, the Holocaust actually happened, and it's wrong, right? We can all agree on that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Um, do I believe that they should have had a land to call their own? No, I can't really say I believe that. I can't really say that I believe that. And I'll tell you why. I tell you, it's
Yeah.
not because I hate anybody. I don't hate
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
The reality is, what other democratic nation do we have in the world that is religious based? None. Because you can't have a religious country that's also considered a democracy. You can't do that. You
Oh,
can't
Democrat.
call
Okay, sorry,
Israel.
Democratic. Yeah, I was like Saudi Arabia, but never
Yeah,
mind.
no, no, no. Saudi Arabia is a monarchy,
Right, right, right,
right? All the Arab nations that are fundamentally
right,
Islamic
right,
are monarchies. They're not democracies.
right.
So you can't call Israel the most democratic country in the Middle East. That's not true by definition. You can't, because if that was
Unless because they don't actually follow a religion.
Exactly. Not all
They are
Israelites
not.
are
I don't
Jewish
think they
or
are
even care
Jewish.
about the faith of Judaism, right?
They're not following Judaism.
I would argue, like, there were probably some Zionists who, I guess were Jewish, but a lot like could care less about the
They
faith of
follow
Judaism.
the Talmud.
you're talking
Huh?
about right now, current day, talking about the inception in 1948.
Probably
Because
both,
because those are
imagine.
fundamentally two different things, right? Two different time zones or time periods. So like again, going back to what I was saying, like back in the day when all this happened, do I believe that they did they deserve self-determination and freedom? Absolutely. Did they have to be in a place where they are only governed by themselves? No, they didn't necessarily. They could have held, they could have moved to Turkey. They could have came to Tennessee. They could have moved wherever they are allowed to.
Or they shouldn't have had to move. Zahid. They should have been
Well,
able
no,
to
no, 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 no,
stay
no.
put.
Well,
And
I'm going by the scenario that Shez put out. He said on the heels of the Holocaust, right? So keeping that in mind, if I just saw, 5 million, 6 million of my people just get genocided, thrown into ovens, do I really want to stay there and live there? Probably not. I probably would be on the first
Exactly.
boat out.
Exactly. Yes.
So
Yes.
I agree with the fact that they needed to leave. I get that. Okay. But did they have to go and force another nation out? No, absolutely not. They could have moved in with them. The Palestinians welcomed them in. Historically, we know that
Yes.
they came in on
Yes.
boats. But they
Yes.
said, bro, come on. Yalla, Habibi, let's go. Let's make some hummus, right?
welcome
Exactly.
signs and all.
And that's what I mean when I say like human nature's like darker side, right? Of like greed and conquest and exclusion. Like when when you start to encroach on other people's rights, your rights end there,
Yeah, that's it.
right? And that's what happened.
Yeah.
So I understand where you're coming from and what you want, but the way to go about it is not the right way to do it. There's a right and a
No.
wrong way to do it, and and that's where morality and all these things come into play. But I want to go back to what you said about like the whole like so when Israel was founded in 1948 or created or whatever, was it created as a Jewish state? Was religion part of it or not? I don't know that actually. I don't know the history of that because that's important.
No, it is. It is. It is. Let me see if I can look it up. I'm not 100% sure. I'm 90% sure it was
ChatGPT.
created fundamentally for
For Zionism.
Zionism. Yeah.
Yes. Because even in my great uncle's book, like he never mentions like Judaism or Jewish or anything. He said Zionist the whole time. And he wrote this book a long time ago, right? Like he was born in 1917. So
So it says the creation of Israel in 1948 was primarily driven by the Zionist movement, but
see,
it was also deeply tied to Jewish identity, history, and survival. But it's important,
identity, not religion though.
yes,
Like
it's important to distinguish between Judaism, which is the religion and the culture, and Zionism, which is the nationalist political movement. However, I would argue that there are people who identify as Zionists who also mix in the Judaism part of it,
Yeah.
right? That's where the complications are created. So I think they themselves don't make that distinction.
So I just Googled, right? A very simple Google search. Why was Israel created? Very simple. And AI answer, Israel was created in 1948 to establish a Jewish homeland in Palestine. I
hmm,
mean, if that doesn't tell you that it was established for religious purposes, as a
Yeah.
religious, then I don't
hmm.
know what does.
So now the next question is if that's true, is it right or is it wrong to want
I
that? Or
uh
is it neither right nor
who
wrong?
controls AI?
Well, let's think about it. I mean, I mean, America has this concept of separation of church and state, right?
Yeah.
For a reason.
Yes.
Um, which by the way, I never understood why, if that's the case, why for the Pledge of Allegiance we're saying, in
God, one
God we
nation under
trust and
God.
all, yeah, one nation under God. Like the whole concept doesn't make sense to me. But I see the value in separating church and state. By this account, if Israel was created for the purpose of establishing a Jewish homeland, I mean, you're playing with fire at that point.
Yeah.
Right? You're mixing political ideology with religious identity. You're playing with fire.
Now on the flip side, let's just say they got on a boat and they said, "Listen, we're gonna go westward," and they came to New
I thought
York.
I was a boat, by the way.
No, because
Because they
at the
didn't
time,
have
I don't know if there was
motorcycles and
Why I thought I was a boat, bro?
Was there planes at the time? I don't know.
No, probably
World War
not.
II. Oh no, there had to be planes.
I'm just trying to inject a little bit of humor in this very awkward, heated conversation.
No, but I'm just saying, all right, whatever. They swam across. I don't give a shit, right? They got on a paddle boat. But the reality is like if they got onto this, transport device and they went westward, okay, and they landed at New York, right? Um, and they were allowed to move in and live freely. What would have been the problem then? You know? And if New York was too crowded or whatever, they could have kept going till they hit.
I mean, is that appropriate or not? I don't know. I mean, I guess if you want, I don't know, if you it depends, right? It depends if it's exclusionary. Like if you want a Jewish homeland, if you want a homeland, if you want a piece of land that is dictated by your principles of faith, by the principles of your faith, which I would imagine every monotheistic framework of religion talks about inclusivity, right? And accepting of other people that maybe don't believe the same thing as you do. So it depends. If it was created as an isolated, like just us versus them type of state, then I think it's wrong. If it was created in a democratic manner where, this is the lay of the land, this is what we believe in, but we're accepting of others as well, then maybe it's not such a bad thing.
so before 48, Palestine was ruled by the Ottoman Empire, right?
Yeah. So before World War I, Palestine was part of the Ottoman Empire. The Britain people had no control over the region.
So it was a
But
monarchy. I
the
think
Ottoman
they were like
Empire was.
kind of like governed by like the Sultan of Turkey or something like that. I was saying before 48, Palestine was ruled by the Ottoman Empire. So I was thinking, because now they have a prime minister. Well, I don't know. I don't know where that homeboy is. He's disappeared into nowhere land. But like I was trying to figure out if it was an Islamic state.
So the one thing I do know, right? Even if it was ruled by the Ottomans, okay? This I know for a fact about the Ottomans is that they never forced anyone to convert to Islam. You could
Yeah,
have been
totally.
You could have been a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, it doesn't matter. You were free to live harmoniously within under the umbrella of the Ottoman Empire. And as long as you were a contributing member of society and you paid your taxes like everyone else, then you were guaranteed the protection and the rights of a citizen by the ruling Ottoman
But
Empire.
you're describing like a democracy, but wasn't it a monarchy?
It was a monarchy. Yeah, it was a
You're
monarchy
describing
for
it as
sure.
like a democracy, though.
No, no, but what I'm saying is that was the rule. That was what was enforced during the Ottoman Empire. They never forced anyone to
Shaz,
convert.
what is ChatGPT saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking up. So look, so did Jews, Christians, and Muslims coexist in the Ottoman Empire? Yes. For centuries, Jews, Christians, and Muslims coexisted under the Ottoman Empire from 1300 to 1922 through a system called a millet system, which was a form of religious pluralism that allowed different religious communities to govern themselves while remaining under Ottoman rule. Wow, that's interesting. That's fascinating. So basically, like each major religious group, so Muslims, Greek
Mhm.
Orthodox Christians, American Christians, Jews, they had their own community leadership, their own legal system, their own institutions. These each group paid a tax
Yep.
in exchange for protection and the right to practice their faith. And religious leaders handled marriage and education and internal disputes, reducing the need for direct Ottoman interference. Jews, Muslims, and Christians were often business partners. They were trading the same markets, working in finance, medicine, law. Doesn't that sound beautiful?
Yeah, that's what
Like,
the lifestyle you were describing earlier.
yeah,
Your second solution, Zahid.
Yeah.
This is what you were
absolutely.
describing.
This would
Like,
be beautiful.
so
Like,
the disconnect came where?
so cultural exchange was rich. Jewish poets wrote in Arabic.
Yeah.
Muslims studied Greek philosophy, and Christian scholars worked for Ottoman sultans.
Yeah.
The Ottomans prioritized stability and tax revenue over forced assimilation. So basically, the Ottomans were like, look, as long as you pay us tax
Yeah.
and y'all don't fight, we don't give a shit. We're
Yeah.
not gonna make you convert or whatever. They saw diversity as a strength, not a threat. Ottoman
Absolutely.
rulers often married Christian women, appointed Jewish advisors, and employed multi-ethnic bureaucracies. So why is that not the case? Right? I asked ChatGPT like, what went wrong? The decline of peaceful coexistence wasn't sudden. It unraveled over centuries due to geopolitical, economic, psychological factors. The Ottoman Empire was multi-ethnic.
Yeah.
European ideas of nationalism started to spread.
Yep.
Groups started to identify by ethnicity or religion rather than imperial allegiance. Greek and Arab revolts, Serbian revolts against the Ottoman rule were fueled by nationalistic ideas, breaking apart the empire. So basically, it's like,
What started the nationalism?
yeah, you
Mm.
got six different groups coexisting, and then you got bad players in each one that are like like waspa. This is like the Iblis waswasa, right? Like,
Yes.
oh, like don't coexist, right? Extremism, like extreme thinking starts to get in the way. And then it says Zionism and Arab nationalism competed for the same land, shifting Jewish-Muslim relations from co-religionists under Ottoman rule to rival national movements. Yeah, so basically, like again, nationalism spread. And then the British Mandate in Palestine happened after the Ottoman Empire collapsed after World War One.
Yeah.
Britain and France basically carved up the Middle East.
Hmm.
The British Mandate in Palestine made,
Colonial.
and this is where, like, I knew it, dude. The British, bro. Why they always got?
Bro, bro,
They
it's
promised. They promised two things. They made conflicting promises to Jews and conflicting promises to Arabs. The Jews' promise was in the Balfour Declaration,
Mhm.
and the Arabs were promised in the McMahon-Hussein Correspondence.
How
Both
come
are
no one knows about this? What is that?
I've never heard
1915 to
about
1917. Yeah, so I remember reading about this. So there were two promises the British people made. One was Balfour to the Jews, one was the McMahon-Hussein Correspondence to the Arabs. Basically, like both the Jews and the Arabs were like, "Hey, Britain, I know you got this piece of land. We want a piece of it, please." And Britain was like, "Okay, okay, like we'll work with you, and we'll work with you too." And then it didn't work out. It like basically like it's like the Britain people couldn't handle like this violence that they caused by making false promises to both sides. And then they were like, you know what? We're out. Never mind. Y'all figure it out. They
Mm.
handed over that big piece of land to the United Nations. And around that time is when the 1948 state of creation of Israel happened. So backing up just a little bit, uh, the Holocaust happened 1939 to 1945, created an urgent need for the Jewish homeland. So that was the root cause of needing a Jewish homeland. That accelerated
But see,
migration to
see,
Palestine.
do you not have a problem with that? That statement right there?
Mm,
I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that they needed a Jewish homeland. Why can't they just be people that needed freedom, people that needed to be liberated? Why does it have to be
trauma,
a
right?
Jewish
I
homeland?
mean,
Huh?
trauma, right? Like Jews probably carried that historical trauma. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think the better approach would have been like, let's not bring religion. That's what I was saying earlier. Let's not bring
because they didn't
religion into it.
have, they weren't, yeah, they I don't know, they hid behind the religion rather than their nationality. Like they were
No,
what,
no, they didn't
European,
have a
right?
nationality. They didn't have a nationality, right? They were German, they were Polish, they were, whatever European country they came from.
Right.
That was their nationality, but they didn't want to be there where they just buried 5 million of their neighbors, 6 million of their
Okay.
neighbors.
I'm actually asking ChatGPT your questions, Zahid. Why was it so necessary to have a Jewish homeland?
Instead of Poland
Why bring
squared.
religion into? Let's see. I don't know. I mean,
What
just a-
the reason that I know about this, about the the Turkish or the Ottoman Empire, is because and again I'm plugging this in, not that they're gonna sponsor us, but you guys ever watched Resurrection? 500 episodes on Netflix. Are you
mm-mm.
guys kidding me?
No, really?
Bro, oh my God, you guys are
I gotta
killing
look
me.
into that.
How does so it's basically about Ertugrul, right? The like he started this revolution within the Turkish Empire. They made this. Are you guys kidding me right now?
I'm not. Nope.
Oh my God. So
Is
this
it
was like
based off of like real?
real life events.
Okay.
Okay. Real life events. His name was Ertugrul. I think he was the great grandfather of Kemal Atatürk or something like that. And they translated. So this was a Turkish series drama, and it was like 600 episodes. And it is if and you can actually ask ChatGPT or Google this. I think it's the most translated series around the globe. You know what I mean? So if you watch this thing, you'll see, man, like they go deep into history. Of course, they add a little bit of drama, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But historically, like the sequence of events that happened and stuff like that, they were actually very accurate on their historical context. And if you have about a year and a half time to kill, I would definitely recommend you guys watch this because let me tell you, it tells you uh, uh, and Lana, I think you would definitely get a kick out of this because it shows real men, like how a man is supposed to be.
I saw them last year.
Mm.
I love that. I love that. But like in terms of if you hadn't gone, right, and you
Yeah.
didn't have any comparison,
Right.
like real men, what real romance looks like, you know what I mean? It's not all about, hey baby, can I get your number? It's not like that at all.
Right. Yeah.
It's literally about gestures. It's about actions more than words. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And oh man, let me tell you, and it's a little bit graphic, but my kids they loved it. You know, maybe they lied to me. Maybe they didn't like it as much as I thought they did. But they would actually wait for me to watch it together, and they would be like, "Daddy, what's going on? Can you explain it?" You know. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But you guys should definitely watch it if you haven't watched it already. You know what I mean?
Again, what's it called?
It's called, so they translated it into
Resurrection.
English. It's called Resurrection.
I'm looking it up right now. There are some things that were fictionalized, it says, though. Just the timeline and
Yeah,
events
yeah,
were
yeah.
a little
But
altered.
like
And
the
the battles, like the depiction
of
was a
course,
little.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but like the major events were accurate.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
And the way they treated people who were non-Muslim or whatever, they were accurate.
It says, well, it says the depiction of battles, politics, and rivalries were a little romanticized and a little inaccurate.
Of
But
course. Because I mean, it is Hollywood at the end of the day,
yeah,
or
they got to make it intriguing.
yeah. But it's actually pretty fire. You
So
guys,
yeah, I think so. What was the answer to his question
oh
about
yeah, the ChatGPT.
the need for?
Dude, this is so fascinating, guys. Let me just go back to the question. Like, why bring Judaism into it, right? Um, basically, I don't know, this is interesting. Like, Jews were scattered worldwide for like 2,000 years after the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE, which I don't know what that is, but if we just take it at face value, right, that Jews were scattered everywhere, like way before the Holocaust. There were Christian anti-Semitism conquests, like the Inquisition, something called the blood libels. Basically, like they were always viewed as outsiders, even before the Holocaust. Jewish communities faced periodic massacres, which made them realize that assimilation did not guarantee safety. So it was basically like we can't rely on any nation or country to accept us
Oh,
because history has shown for thousands of years that we're always going to get slaughtered. So
oh,
it was
that's
about
actually
creating
sad.
It was about creating a physical sanctuary where Jews wouldn't be second-class citizens or victims of genocide. And look what they're doing now. But I
Wow.
want to go back to what you just said, Lana. That's actually sad,
It
right?
is.
That's a
Wait,
huge statement,
no,
and
no,
it's
it,
true.
And I can see why they would want to find a land to claim their own.
Yes,
And, but yeah, but there's a way to do it. No,
exactly.
exactly. I know.
100%. We
There's a way to
cannot
do it. The
take,
way they did it is not the right way,
yes,
obviously.
we cannot give them credit for much more than,
100%.
we
I
understand.
sympathize.
Yeah, y'all were persecuted and we get you wanted this piece of land, but that's it. Like that's where we draw the line. That's all we can understand. The way you went about it is the same shit that you were trying to avoid happening to your people.
so
Exactly.
let me ask you a question. Does ChatGPT go into the details of how they were treated under Muslim rule?
We can make it go in that detail. Let's ask it a
Yes,
question.
healthcare workers trying to
Um,
get into this history.
but
Still out of our lane.
the other thing I asked it was your other question, which is, why not just a secular Jewish nation? Like, for example, like let's just play a scenario, okay, where what would have happened if Zionism had remained fully secular, like not bringing religion into it? What would that scenario look like, right? And so I just made it play out a scenario, and it says if Zionism had remained a purely secular nationalistic movement, which is what we're saying, right? Don't bring a religion into it. The trajectory of Israel and possibly the entire Middle East would have been very different. In the beginning, early Zionist leaders had considered alternative locations, like Uganda was under consideration. Actually, this says in 1903, the British had offered land in Uganda to the Zionists, but they rejected it because it had no religious significance. Right? So religion was always a part of it. If Zionism were purely secular and they didn't bring religion into it, they could have accepted Uganda, avoiding the conflict with Palestinians, right?
Well, but then
So
what
it's
about,
fundamentally a religious thing.
yeah, but what about what would they have done to the Ugandans?
Well, I think probably the same thing. I mean, I don't know, probably, right? Because there's another people living there. However, because it's not because it's not tied to religious identity, I don't think the conflict would have been so profound like the current conflict is, right? That's just my theory. I don't know. Because religion
So
isn't
much
playing a
empty
part.
land, though. Like, I don't get why they have to go for occupied land. There's so much empty land. Like,
So, especially like at that time after World War II, when the world was significantly less populated than it is right now, 100 years later, there was an abundance of land. I mean, hell, there's an abundance of land right now.
right.
It just depends on, where you want to go. My issue that I have, I'll be honest with you, okay, first of all, if you wanted to move anywhere, live harmoniously. Live in peace with your neighbors, right? But no, if you want to have your own religious nation, you cannot go to a land that's already has people living there
Yeah,
and then impose your rules and your laws and force them out, causing the Nakba. You
exactly.
can't do that. There's a moral disconnect in that whole concept. Like even from a religious perspective, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go kick these people out. That way I can practice my religion. What religion teaches that shit?
Right.
Yeah.
What religion
Exactly.
allows that kind of behavior?
Exactly. Exactly. This focus on like building a theocratical region, like a theocracy, I think was probably
We
the
gotta stick with smaller words, man.
well, like a theocracy, like a democracy, but a government based on religion,
Yeah.
theology, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think the biggest thing I'm taking away from all of this is you can't take religion out of this. This is fundamentally a religious, faith-based problem.
No.
I think that
That's
they're
how it
not
started,
following.
at least, you know?
I think it was so the Holocaust happened to people who were Jewish, right? I don't believe, though, Zionism has anything to do with Judaism or religion at all, though. I don't.
Right.
It doesn't, but the people, like, it's like
The
if you were to,
Zionism is the is the disconnect.
Look, if I'm a Zionist and I'm trying to motivate Lana to join me in my movement, I'm going to try to instill a sense of purpose in her. I'm going to try to motivate her. And what's a bigger motivation than like divinity? Like this is your obligation as a human nature who worships God to come together to create this like piece of land that we can all worship on together. You see what I'm saying? Like it was
They
manipulative. I'm
don't
not
believe
saying
in
it's the
that.
right thing to do.
No, it's just though, but they are not like divine people like that though. The Zionists don't. I don't know if they even believe in a God. Honestly, I know that
I know. That's why I'm saying it
they
was
don't believe in a
manipulative.
hellfire either. Like I don't know. So I don't think that that was what they used to grab people with them. I don't know.
I don't know. I
I
think
don't
that's
know. It's
what
hard to say that it's religion. I don't know. What do you think, Zahid?
I don't know. I don't know. I have a lot of problems with some of the things that we just talked about. Like I honestly think I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I fundamentally cannot agree with the fact that they had to. If you wanted to have your own religious country, you have to go somewhere else. Go to a land that is unoccupied, that has nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're coming at the heels of the Holocaust and you have the British government supporting you, you have the UN that's saying, yes, we can do this. You have the Balfour Declaration. You got Rothschilds that are funding all this, right? Okay, go to, wherever in any other part of the world, and you now have a nation of people. You have all the money in the world that's there, and you're going to get all the resources from that money, right? You had all those options. Why choose to go to Palestine? Now, okay, fine. Okay, fine. You want to
because it's
say,
their holy land. That's
right,
what
right.
it
You want
says.
to say that's your holy land? Okay, fine. Then don't desecrate the holy land.
Right.
Respect the holy land.
Absolutely.
Okay? If you are a person of God, and if you,
Faith.
regardless, Christian, Muslim, or
Faith.
Jew, if
Period.
you are a person of faith and you're saying that this is our holy land, how do you spill the blood of innocents on holy land?
Totally. Totally agree with that. 100%.
Dismissed.
But you
100%.
can't. Fundamentally, it's
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
it's
why I say it's so hard to believe it's a religion based factor for them because
now,
that's not religion. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Shaz. I want to just address something you said earlier. You said earlier that okay, it may have started off being a religious problem, and now we cannot disconnect the two. It has to stay connected
so
because
wait,
of
in their holy book, does it say Palestine is their land? Like, this is where they, like, if that, then maybe we can say it is religion based if that's what their holy book is saying.
Maybe we can say what? Israel what?
so
In
the
their
whole
holy book,
whole
does it
thing
say
is that
Palestine is the land they're
they say
supposed
that Israel or that land, Judea and Samaria, were promised to the Jews, and the Jews are the promised people,
It
right?
says that in their holy book,
Supposedly, I don't
in
know.
the Torah.
The idea of the land being promised to the Jews comes from the Torah,
Um,
particularly in Genesis, Exodus, and Deuteronomy. What is that?
Deuteronomy. Uh-huh.
Okay. The covenant with Abraham. God tells Abraham in Islam, to leave his homeland and go to Canaan, which is modern day Israel, Palestine. Um, this is where the idea of a Jewish homeland starts. In Genesis 15:18, it says, to your descendants I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates, from the river to the sea. In Genesis 17:8, it says, I will give to you and your offspring the land where you are now an alien, all the land of Canaan as an everlasting possession. After,
so it's religion.
after escaping slavery in Egypt, Moses leads the Israelites towards the land of Canaan. God promises the land, but also tells the Israelites to drive out its current inhabitants.
Whoa,
Exodus
whoa, 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 whoa. Say that
23:31.
again. Say it again.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Exodus 23:31. God promises the land, but also tells the Israelites to drive out its current inhabitants.
Who
To
was there?
where?
Huh?
Who was there?
Probably the Palestinians.
No, no,
Probably.
no, 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 no.
Drive
You're
out.
talking about
Listen.
Old
Oh,
Testament.
oh,
Old
this is yeah.
Testament
Back,
Muslims
back.
didn't
Okay, let me
exist.
let me let me see. Let me follow up. Okay,
They had to be the Babylonians.
the current inhabitants of the land that God commands the Israelites to drive out were a mix of ancient Canaanite tribes and other groups living in the region, like the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the
Okay.
The
Perizzites,
Canaanites are Palestinians.
all of these types of people. And what
Okay.
happened to these groups? Uh, According to the Torah, the Israelites were commanded to conquer and destroy these nations.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
Archaeological evidence suggests that instead of a violent conquest, Israelite culture gradually emerged from within Canaanite society.
Right.
Many early Israelites might have actually been Canaanites who adopted a new identity rather than foreign conquerors. Uh,
Mm.
were these groups related to Palestinians? I didn't even ask them that. It's just telling me. Not directly, but they were part of the deep historical roots of the land's inhabitants. Modern Palestinians are mostly Arab, and Arabs didn't arrive in the region until the 7th century CE during the Islamic expansion. However, Palestinian ancestry could include ancient Canaanites, since population in the region mixed over thousands of years. So, I mean, this goes back to this is biblical, guys. I mean, this goes back a
So,
long
but why would God demand that he destroys the
Well,
that
Canaanites?
that I
I
think is the flaw in interpretation of the Torah.
right. So this is the thing, right? So
Think.
even and I'm not a scholar in Islam, right? But even in Islam, right, there have been religious battles, you
Yeah.
know, where you would have Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he
But wait,
would
Canaanites wasn't a religion.
say what?
That Canaanites, what? That's not a religion.
No. It's not a religion, but
And
I'm
in
saying
the Torah, it's saying to destroy the people, the Canaanites.
Yeah, I
right. No,
guess
That's not a religious
it's
battle.
not saying to destroy the religion. It's just saying kick out the people.
For
yeah.
what reason?
Well, Allahu alam. I don't know. Like he said, it might be a loose
Well,
interpretation.
look, I mean, and this is, we talked about now, this is deep religion now. At this point, we in it, y'all. You know what I mean? We in it. So look,
He
like,
just went straight Texan on us.
yeah. I mean,
But
we in it.
I mean, if you can dissect it and figure out where the disconnect is, then we spread that
Well,
word, right?
I mean, as believers, as Muslims, and I'm still trying to understand my faith. I also, disclaimer, I'm no Islamic scholar, but um, we believe as Muslims, right, that the Christians and the Jews and we are the people of the book, right? Basically, to take a very big picture view, God sends a message through a messenger. Human beings corrupt that message.
Hmm.
God sends a calamity. Civilization is destroyed. A new messenger comes,
Hmm.
right? The cycle is repeated. There were tons and tons of prophets throughout the years. We as believers say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only God and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was his last messenger, meaning that we believe in prior messengers. It's
Right.
just that the message has been corrupted through various interpretations and human greed and all of these things. The Quran, which is our source, has not been corrupted because of auditory transmission. You go to any masjid in the world, and it's people that memorize the Quran, they're known as protectors of the Quran. So no other book can claim that it has been unaltered for
Right.
1400 plus years except the Quran, right?
100%.
So my guess is that the Torah, if the Torah is the same message that came from our God, the only God, the one God, then I don't think it said go kill and kick these other people out. It
Yeah.
probably didn't say that, but it was misinterpreted and the message was corrupted, which is what we believe fundamentally, which is why the Quran and the Prophet ﷺ came. So I think it's a huge miscommunication, I think.
Yeah, because some
Guess what
Jews
happens?
believe.
In such a huge miscommunication, now we have genocide.
Well,
Right.
yeah, because some Jews believe that they can't establish a Jewish state until after the Messiah comes. So, so which Judaism is right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which Judaism, and it shouldn't be like that, right? It shouldn't be this. It's like Christianity, and not to, whatever, right? I mean, who knows? Only
Right,
God
right.
knows what's
There
right. But
are
as a believer, I believe in Islam.
contradictions.
Yeah, but even in Christianity, there's like unorthodox and orthodox, and there's like non-denominational. There's all these different, and
Do
it's
you
just
know, just to say, I heard scientifically when the three holy books were dissected, Scientifically, the Quran was the only book that did not contradict itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the
No,
Quran. It
I
can.
believe
It
that.
cannot
I believe
contradict
that
itself. Yeah, yeah,
100%.
yeah.
You know,
Me too. Um,
but this goes back to just proving what Shez was saying earlier. It's just over time, corruption and misinterpretation and stuff like that. Quran is the only book that's maintained in its original language, right?
yes.
Like I'm a Muslim from India, you're a Muslim from the Middle East, and oh well, Shaz happens to be from India too, but you know, you go to China,
Yeah,
100%.
and we may not be able to shop in the market, but you hear the azan, you go to make wudu, you stand in salah, you know exactly where the imam is.
Yep.
No other religion can say that.
But look, I think just to go
speaking.
back, backing up a whole lot, right? This is a fundamentally religious issue. Um, it was created, the problem was created, I think, based on that. So now the question is, what do we do about it?
Mm.
How do we fix this mess? What's the solution, right? But again, I think this was a great exercise because to find a solution, you got to understand the problem.
Exactly.
And we
You
still
got
don't
to
have
solve
a
the
quite
problem.
We don't
clear
have a great
understanding.
understanding, but I don't know, man. I feel like I made a lot of progress in my understanding of the problem in the last couple of hours, right?
Yeah. You got to understand, you got to solve the problem and then be able to prove that to the world, right? Like, okay, here's the formula. We figured it out and this is how you solve the problem. Like you just have to, it's
Lana's thinking
evidence
this like
based.
a calculus 3 problem. Like here's
Literally
the
beyond,
formula. Like
yeah, organic.
Imagine if the three of us actually solve this freaking
Imagine this puzzle.
bullshit problem in the Middle East. Like, can you imagine?
It wouldn't.
Oh my God.
I would have a lot of comedy for my stand-up. That's all I gotta say. Yo, guess what I did over the weekend?
I solved the Da Vinci Code and no, but no. Honestly though, like I feel like if there's a way we can, like, we're healthcare people, right? We're in the field of medicine, and everything is evidence based. So if we are able to figure out this problem, see where the disconnect is, improve it, then you can't argue the evidence. Like you can't.
Listen, you're
It's
not wrong.
not
You're not wrong,
evidence-based.
but that's only one part of
Yeah.
finding a solution, right?
Well, the problem that's the religious issue, right?
Which is
But this is
fundamental
beyond
to it.
that, right? Because now it's beyond the religion. Now it's the Zionism.
I that's what I don't know.
That's where it's difficult because we can try to solve this religious discrepancy, but the ideology of Zionism is the problem. And
I
that's
think
where I
only
don't think there's anything we can do to eradicate it.
I think the only way this problem can be solved is if the people sitting at the table having this discussion to solve the problem, whether they're Jewish or Muslim or whatever Christians, understand that fundamentally each faith is very similar, and fundamentally God says to coexist.
It goes back to what I was saying earlier, man. Like the concept of love and hate starts in the home, right? So there's deprogramming. I think that's harder than the actual just teaching them new skills.
When we have this discussion of trying to find a solution to this very complex problem, is there any level of love or understanding that we need to show the other side?
The way my heart actually like hurt when you were talking about
Which
how
I
they were
love
looking,
that. I loved to see that because that's the whole
oh,
point.
literally
People
my
that
heart, like
understand
I
that,
was
we
like,
win.
oh, that's so sad. Actually, that was heartbreaking to hear. And that makes me feel for them. And I look, I'm like, dude, I feel so bad. Like they dealt with that and they just wanted a place where they could feel accepted. And you know what I mean? I understand that. And I'm with that. I get it. I understand. But some people are cold hearted. I don't know. Like when you see like Brian Mast in the Senate, like there's nothing you can tell that guy that will make him see it any differently.
Are we guilty, just like the other side is probably too, of taking one example of a demographic and labeling the whole demographic as such?
growing up, if you ask any Arab, they always refer to them as the Jews, right? Not the Zionists. It's
Right.
always the Jews. So
Yes.
that is a blanket statement.
Yes. And that's my point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
I
have to deprogram
believe me,
the Arabs.
I am all like I am on one side, okay? I'm not like a flip-flopper. I everybody knows what side I'm on, but there are people on our side too who don't use the right language and they approach with hate.
Correct.
And all I'm saying is that's not how we solve this problem.
Correct.
Correct. 100%.
So
100%.
how do we deprogram them, right? So I think we're working
It
on
starts
that.
with us. It starts with us.
I've noticed
We got to
lately
use the right
people are
language.
starting to say Zionists rather than Jews.
Well, what I'm saying is go a layer deeper, and this might be too much. I don't know. But yes, we know that Jews aren't the problems, right? But I'm
Mhm.
saying like even within like Zionism as a uh political movement is going about it the wrong way. But it's what I was saying at the beginning of this conversation. The reason for the existence of that movement to some degree is understandable. That's all I'm trying to say. So what I'm saying is if you extrapolate further, like there's probably some good people in Zionism.
Mm,
But what I'm hearing out there is like Zionism equals bad. Zionism, and yes, I don't know. It's a hard one for me, guys.
it is. That's a
Because again,
political ideology.
if we lead with hate, we're not solving this problem. That's all I'm
No, I
saying.
know, but Zionism isn't a religion. It's a political. It's a bad. It's a dangerous ideology. It's
Yes, and so we should hate the ideology. Um,
correct.
Yeah, yeah, no,
yes,
absolutely.
we should hate
But
the ideology, not the people in it.
The
okay,
people
hold
in
on,
it
hold on.
follow that ideology, though.
Who may not. That's what I'm saying. It's
No,
a
there's no.
blanket,
It's
it's a
not a
blanket
religion.
statement we're making,
You're
right?
treating it
No,
like
no,
a
no, no,
religion.
no. Hold on, hold on. Hold on. So I think what Lana and I are trying to say is if you are saying that there are people within Zionism that don't believe in the concept of Zionism, then they're not Zionists, they're just Jews.
Yes.
Okay? So
Yes,
therefore, we
yes,
don't have an issue with them.
yes. We should make that clear. Yes.
Yeah, no, no, and 100%, 100%, right? The example that you and I can relate to, Shez, is in India, right? You got what is it? What are they called? The Hindutva political group, right?
Yeah.
They're very, very pro Hinduism,
Yeah.
not pro India, pro Hinduism, and they are openly anti-Muslim, right? So that ideology is what I am against. I am against Zionism, the ideology. Now, if there are people living around the globe that support Jews, right, but not Zionism, I'm down with it.
Yeah.
And Zionism is being defined as the ideology that works off of oppression.
Yes,
We're going to take what's not ours
yes,
forcefully
Yeah.
yes.
in the name of religion sometimes,
In the name of religion.
incorrectly. Yeah.
Yeah. They hide behind that religion. They've hijacked that religion and hid behind it and blamed it. And that's why the Jewish people get the bad rap.
Yes.
Be honest, there's no difference between Zionists and, you know, uh,
Republicans.
well,
Okay.
yeah, I was gonna say terrorists, but people who like do bad shit in the name of religion,
Yeah.
right? There's no difference between Zionists and terrorists and yeah, like these far right extreme political ideologies that
And far left.
religion into.
Anything extreme.
And yeah, yeah.
Extremism, period.
But in general though, the far left doesn't tend to bring religion into it, right? It's the conservative side that brings religion into it.
Sure,
Um,
but the far left has their issues too.
I,
yeah.
I, I
Anything
don't
extreme, anything in
Yeah,
extreme
anything.
is the
Yeah.
problem.
I don't know the left and the right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I really don't know what the hell that means.
Democrats,
Republican versus Democrat.
So who's on the
Republicans are the
left?
right, and the
far
Democrats are on the
far
left.
left would be like liberals,
Most
very,
liberal.
very liberal values who sometimes identify as like progressive Democrats. And then
That is the far left.
that's the
Yes,
far left.
Okay.
Far right is
super conservative.
generally far right is a more conservative nationalistic ideology that tries to hide behind religion, specifically Christianity here in the United States, much like Zionism.
Zionism.
And my point is, if you go back thousands of years, let's It's always been the case. There's always an extreme, and it's generally faith related. That's why you have holy wars, right? To be
Mm.
honest, man, like I hate saying this, but
We just need to
you know,
get rid of extremism.
we're due for a holy war.
All right. I'm just
Mm.
But like I'm genuinely like concerned about that. I mean, I feel like, if there's gonna be a World War III, it's gonna be related to this Gaza issue.
I don't think it's going to be a holy war. I think it's about to be a civil war though, like
Civil
in America,
related to what?
everything that's happening right now.
Yeah, but it'll be based off of local politics. It won't be because of international.
Local politics, but I feel like that
Well,
issue is a big issue
well,
that
religion, yeah,
people
religion will be that issue is part of the
it is.
divisiveness of our country, you know?
No. So honestly, if you guys if there is going to be a civil war in the United States,
It's because of
it's
Elon
it's
Musk.
not going to be over Gaza. Trust me. We have
No,
enough.
it's not over Gaza, but I think that that is what
Yeah. No,
is
Gaza
the
would
root.
be a world war situation, not a civil
It's a
war.
root. Oh no, there will be one.
There there
100%.
is there is enough there's enough reasons that America could have its own civil war and not even think of Gaza.
I know, but I think that this surfaced the issues. Like it brought it to surface.
You really think that Gaza is the reason why that there's open
The
racism?
relationship with Israel is what is bringing it to the surface.
I think if
Yes.
Gaza's shown anything, it's that like there's this culture, this deeper rhetoric of like us versus them mentality, right? Like we belong here, you don't. Us versus them. We're trying to isolate and create divisions between people. If that same rhetoric continues, yeah,
But
it
you
might
know,
not be
the
Gaza, but it
Palestinians
might
don't have
be,
that mentality though.
huh?
They're not like that. They don't have that mentality that you can't live with us. Palestinians. They
Yeah,
don't have that mentality. They're not like, you can't live with us. You can't live amongst us.
yeah.
They welcome them with open arms before, and they are willing to even let them stay in Palestine, divide it in half, whatever, do what you want, just let them live harmoniously. Like they aren't against having them live alongside.
Would you say there's a small minority of people who don't think like that?
Of course, not 100% of people are going to think the same way. I'm sure there's a small group, but
But do you think it's a
I would
minority?
like to, I would say the majority would not mind it as long as they are respected
Hmm.
Mm. I don't know.
the way that they did back in the day. I mean,
Yeah, so I can I don't know. I don't know, but I can tell you if I put myself in their shoes, and I know that for generations, for decades, my people were living under the boot of an occupation on my neck, on the necks of my grandfather and great grandfather, and they were kicked out of their house with the promise to come back, but then they were never allowed to come back. Would I, 10 generations later, um, uh,
be mad at the great, 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 great grandson for what his great,
no,
great, great
no, no, no.
grandfather did?
Would I want to just forgive and forget and live harmoniously with the lineage of the occupiers? Would I do that? Personally
Yeah.
speaking, Zahid, would
That's
I
where
do?
exactly. That's where the hate
I
comes
would.
in. And
I can tell you the people who live in Jerusalem, because my family lives in Jerusalem, right? I know lots of people who live there. They date Jewish girls and they like have Jewish friends and they live in Jerusalem like alongside each other.
yeah,
Uh,
yo,
like
just
it's
on the side, man, like I don't know, man.
Jerusalem's different.
Those Jewish girls are like very pretty. I'm just
Oh,
gonna say
they're gorgeous, and
I'm
their
just gonna
freaking
say
men
that.
are
If they
beautiful
just if
too.
they just would convert, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, no, there's no denying that they're beautiful people, right?
Hmm.
Physically beautiful,
draw
but
chest,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But like they do that in Jerusalem, so I know that it can be done.
I don't know,
I
man.
understand what you're
I,
saying, though.
I'm,
Like, I know what you're
I,
saying. I would be
I just, I personally couldn't do it
yeah.
because like, I know people there are doing it. I'm not denying.
Listen, you couldn't do it if they were respecting you. If your neighbor was respecting you, but their father killed yours, right? But the children are not like dad, and they get along with you and your children. You would still be mad. You would still hold that grudge.
I can tell you definitively there would have to be some severe reparations in order for me to consider living next to the occupier, living next to people that have taken out my family. Because you know why? Now, hear me out. Hear me out. It's not fair, right? That you or your family or your lineage moved into my neighborhood, took out my grandparents and my parents, kicked them out of their house, took their homes, uprooted their entire life, and then now you just want me to forgive and forget. Now listen, all right, let's change the scenario a little bit, right? Let's just say there was a war. If there was a war and the war meaning not what's going on right now. Right now is not it's not a war, it's a fucking genocide, right? It's unequal battlefields, right? But if you had people, two armies that were at the same playing field and there was battle. Now at that point, whoever wins, wins, whoever loses, loses. It's a fair fight. After that happens, right? Now, if their father, their grandfather, who happened to be the general, killed my great grandfather, who happened to be the captain, okay, fine. I get it. That's war. I get it. This is not war. This was a forced occupation. This was a forced Nakba. Like my people did not have, and I'm saying my people like I'm Palestinian. They didn't have a choice. They were forced out. You know what I'm saying? So for me to sit here and say that would the Palestinians be okay with it, even though, generations have passed, I don't know. I personally could not do it. I will tell you
I feel
that
like they
100%.
just want peace, dude. They just want to live.
No,
They just want to live. And if they can do that side by side, they'll take it. They just want to live. They've been
I
beaten
mean,
and
listen,
killed
you
for.
you you are the Palestinian here on the panel, so you
yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, I'm just saying from my experience and like what I see my uncles in Jerusalem and my aunts in Jerusalem, like the way they live, they'll take it. They'll take it.
Do
They just want
you
to, as
do you
long as it
believe?
means that they can live without living in fear and under occupation and whatever, they'll do it.
But okay, hold on. Does that apply? See, your family that you refer to, they're in Jerusalem, they're in the West Bank, they have certain privileges, maybe not all, they have certain privileges. Do you think that applies as a blanket statement to all of Palestine, West Bank, Jerusalem, Gaza Strip?
Hmm.
Or you know
Touche.
what I mean? Because if you think about it, because this
Gaza,
whole
yeah, Gaza's different. Yeah.
Gaza's different. Exactly. Gaza's different. They've
Yes.
never seen freedom. They've
Exactly.
never had the right to self-determination. Even in the West Bank. I mean, historically, we know that they hold power in office, right? But that's bullshit.
So, but
That's
this is how I can tell you, like, I know that they would be okay with it because the friends that I made in Gaza that I still keep in touch with, like the ones who've evacuated into Egypt even, are like, we want to come to America. They want to live in the country that amongst the people who've annihilated them,
well, no, that's because no. That's because their other option is going back to Gaza.
or staying in Egypt where they're
In
safe.
Egypt, they might be safe, but they're not allowed to live.
Yeah.
They have no freedoms in
Yeah,
Egypt.
they can't work.
The only thing is they're not getting bombed, but they can't work. They can't have a life there. They're beggars. And this is coming from a population that has the highest literacy, one of the highest literacy in the entire world.
Exactly. That's a really good point. Yeah, they're very educated people. I mean, people want dignity, right? Like not getting bombed. Hey, we'll let you live. That is basic stuff.
That's
You need
a
dignity, you need
fundamental right.
freedom.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's as fundamental as it gets, right? Sleep or,
But I
die.
feel like if I was that bitter and if I was born and raised in Gaza and lived under that oppression, and if I was that bitter, I would not want to go to America. And that would be the last country that I would go to if I had that pride that you are exhibiting, Zahid, no offense. But if I had that sense of pride, I would not choose that. I would be like, I want to go to Denmark.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I would not want to, they want to come to America. They're like, well, we want to live there. Like, that's how I know that they would be okay with living side by side as long as they are respected, like you said, given their dignity, given their basic fundamental rights and an opportunity to prosper. That's all
Well,
they want.
I talked to
They're
some
simple, I promise.
I talked to some doctors in Gaza who would not be okay with that.
But
So
you also talk to them while they're there. Like I'm talking about the evacuated ones who I've kept in touch with. The ones who are out now. Now they're in the midst of it right
yeah,
now. And
yeah,
so right now
exactly.
they're big mad and they have every right to be.
And I think that's God. I think that's Zahid's point. You know, is it's if it. I guess it depends on how fresh it is, right? If it's
They're
like
being
fresh
scabbed
and
right now, though. Like those are scabs that I'm talking to, right? The ones that I'm talking to, they're scabs.
yeah, yeah.
The ones that you were
Well,
talking to are actively being stabbed.
maybe if enough time, passes. I mean, the other thing we got to think about, right? It's an interesting concept, and I've thought about this is forgiveness. Our Prophet ﷺ
Mm-hmm. If
was
God is the most
was
forgiving, who are you to
was
not be Zahid?
was attacked well, no, I mean, this is not not pointing fingers type of thing. I mean, Prophet ﷺ was attacked and his life was threatened. He was persecuted and he still forgave. However, he forgave ﷺ from a position of strength,
Yes,
not a position of weakness.
correct.
So forgiveness doesn't mean we're gonna lay down and just roll all over us.
That's what I'm saying. Give them their respect and dignity and rights, and they will forgive, and they can harmoniously live alongside you.
Potentially, inshallah.